We don't care about the values. We don't care about the resale value, okay? We're not chasing Bedard.
It's about the story behind the card. I hope you guys have a real appreciation for like dead puck era base set cards. Convincing my mom to get a Happy Meal. That was a tough go.
Nom nom nom.
That is the face of a man that chows down on pierogies.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Arkhipov Pierogi Chow.
The podcast.
A podcast about hockey cards.
Absolutely.
We are here. I'm Micah.
And I am Josh.
Yes, I'm a Canucks fan.
I am, unfortunately, an Oilers fan at this current state and time. Probably not the right call, but I still have faith.
This episode will come out after Game 4, so...
That is true. That is true. And I feel like they were starting to turn it around.
Understatement of the year. The Panthers are cooked.
Anyway, this is going to be a podcast, a hockey card podcast, but not your average hockey card podcast. We're not going to talk about the values. I mean, it may come up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we don't care about the values. We don't care about the resale value, okay? We're not chasing Bedard, okay? We're not looking to buy our, children college. We are just here to talk about our love for the cardboard and a little bit of backstory about the name, Arkhipov Pierogi Chow. This is a 01-02 in the game signature series.
In the game.
Dennis Arkhipov. We've got a top-down angle right there. Still rolling. This is a 2002 signature series in the game, Dennis Arkhipov. And I think this is one of my favorite cards ever because on the back, as you can see, it says at the end, it goes through his little,
His spiel.
And then at the end it says, Dennis loves to chow down on pierogies and he stays active in the summer by playing tennis. And I think that illustrates, my
Appreciation for the minutia of the hockey card.
Exactly. And they do not make them like this anymore.
No.
The monopoly of Upper Deck is a bad thing for the hobby.
Yes, and as we'll get into today, it is very difficult for one of us to find different brands of cards that are not Upper Deck in their collection, especially for the more recent expansion teams. Everything from about 2000 onwards, it's very Upper Deck centric, and even the offshoots of Upper Deck are pretty populous as well. But so yeah, I hope you guys have a real appreciation for like dead puck era base set cards, because
this is what we're going to be talking about. You will not find a podcast like this out there. Maybe you do. I don't know.
There's a chance.
But anyway, we're gonna come to the set with a few cards ready to talk about. Just waffle on. If you've ever wanted a podcast where it really is just two white guys naming sports players for an hour, this is the place for you, okay?
We've been doing this for about 20 years, and we finally just decided to put it to film.
Yeah.
So
we've got the dad cam rolling just for the vibes, no other reason. And we're gonna just shoot the shit.
Full Tommy Richmond up in this, guys. We're gonna vibe.
We're gonna vibe out to some early 2000s, 90s, maybe some newer stuff.
Maybe some newer. I've got a lot of newer sets via Facebook Marketplace.
There you go.
Recently, so I've been trying to work up my reverse retro collection because hockey cards are huge. I love hockey cards, but I'm also a big jersey head.
Big jersey head over here.
Always looking to expand the collection of the physical jerseys and on the cards too.
Yeah.
And this Nashville jersey in particular, I love this.
I think you should pick that up, to be honest.
That one's great. This is what I feel like Nashville should have.
Yeah.
A little less of the yellow, But I digress. But speaking of the Predators,
yes, Micah
here has assembled a Google spreadsheets algorithm-based. Well, what do you want to call it? It's
Upper Doku.
Upper Doku.
We are calling this Upper Doku. So many of you may be familiar with Puck Doku, the Sudoku sort of game where you cross-reference different players. I've created a sort of clone of that It's only 2x2, so it's the Puckdoku Junior of the hockey card variety. So we have a myriad of categories to cross-reference, and you have to find a card that applies, not just the player, but a card that applies. So we have here, tops, playoff beard, Preds, and center. So of course we have to find a Preds card that showcases a good playoff beard, a center with a good playoff beard, a tops Preds card, and a center tops card. Which
should be relatively easy, you would think.
So we determined this was the random set last night, and then we took the night to mull it over, to search through our collection. It has to be a card that we own, that we can bring the physical object, because we appreciate physical objects. We are you on ePack?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're fully on this, guys. So this is, I would say my collection is definitely a little smaller than Micah's.
Yeah, well,
my
wallet is smaller.
So. Micah is obsessed, in a good way. I don't know. We both started collecting 20 years ago, sort of thing.
It's been a long time.
And I have had a few hand-me-downs here and there from my dad and my uncle, but for the most part, it's been stuff that I found, and I've only got the chance to buy a bunch of older stuff more recently. And I think with the dollar store packs going
they're great.
The way of the dodo for the most part, we can still find them occasionally, and those are great.
Yeah, they're not around anymore.
It's like 10 or 15 packs instead of the old-fashioned 30 assorted cards from any time period, anywhere. And those were incredible.
Were the good days.
So, but yeah, as of recent, it's just been a lot more newer stuff for me. And that's why I may have had some slight issues with this.
That's okay.
This doku.
Every doku will be different. This is gonna be a regular on the show. We're gonna have different segments over the course, but I think this is gonna be regular, because we'll put our cards down here. We'll kind of talk about them a little bit, about why we like them, about any fun facts or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be fun. And do you wanna? Or should I?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I think we could even put both on there. It doesn't matter to me. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay. Mine are going to be slightly less whelming, which I would consider that to me.
We are gonna start. Maybe we start with. Maybe we set the tone a little bit. I'm gonna go with my tops center.
Okay.
So my top center is this 2000 Tops Premier Plus feature presentation. Mark Messier on the Vancouver Canucks. And
that is awesome.
I have to get it out of the way. Messier, the obligatory. The obligatory. I must.
What did Mess do, man?
I will get into it, okay? So we've got here, this is, objectively speaking, it's a nice looking card. It's kind of goofy. It's got that early 2000s, late 90s goofiness to it that I love. The spotlights in the Canucks colors are great.
I didn't even see the spotlights.
It's crazy. So that's awesome. The fact that it's called feature presentation is hilarious. You'll notice, of course, that Mark Messier is the captain, number 11 of the Canucks.
Okay.
We must go over this.
I know where this is going. Everybody knows where this is going.
And so maybe I should give the backstory now. So of course, Mark Messier signed by the Canucks in free agency in the 97 before the 97 season. He forcefully takes the number 11, which was unofficially retired because of
out of circulation,
because of a Canucks player that had passed away due to brain cancer, Wayne Mackey. Mark Messier says, "I will have that, actually. Thank you." Trevor Linden, the fan favorite, resigns the captaincy. He says, "Please,
which
Messier."
He did do willingly.
He did do willingly.
That was his. He thought that it was the smart decision.
Of course.
At the time.
And Messier accepts graciously, of course. And now I will flip to the back. And as you can see, I'll just read the back here. Vancouver fans have every reason to believe that their Stanley Cup hopes have taken a dramatic upward swing with Messier in the lineup. Moose is the only man in league history to captain two organizations, Oilers and Rangers, to playoff championships.
I totally thought it said Moses with my dyslexia. That makes a lot more sense to captain 2 championships. But
So obviously, this card was released late in Messier's tenure with the Canucks, during his last season, actually. They never made the playoffs with Messier in the lineup.
Again, maybe not directly Messier's fault, but potentially a contributing factor. There was a lot of stuff falling apart around that time.
Definitely. The Canucks were a bit of a dumpster fire then. They traded Linden through Messier's first season.
They kind of took advantage of Bure. With the contract being in Canadian dollars, and then he left, which rightfully so.
So this card, I think, is just kind of a representative of sort of a very dark time in Canucks history. I like to keep it as a memento of this time, but I think it just really rubs that salt in the wound when it says that they've taken an upward swing after finishing dead last in the conference for the past 2 years.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough go.
So that's my top center that we've got. Not one that I love to talk about, but I feel like it sets the mood.
Totally.
I feel like it sets the mood.
Totally.
Maybe we'll go for the other center pick. This is a fairly expected pick, I think. We've got a Joe Thornton.
Beautiful.
This is a 21-22 Joe Thornton on the Panthers. Appropriate time period.
That is both a beautiful beard.
It is beautiful.
And a beautiful man.
True.
And I think there's even a charity written on the boards in the background. So it's all beautiful.
Foundation.
I will say 2 quick things. I'll just throw it right out there. The Panthers jersey.
Not as good.
Not as good as the old one. And it will eternally bother me that the stripe on the center ends on the side of the jersey. It does not continue the same way the Montreal Canadiens one does.
There you go.
Which maybe it would be 2 Canadians if it did that. It just bothers me that the stripe just dies.
That's fair.
Okay? But the main point here, and I have so many of this pack due to Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
This might be my least favorite upper deck pack of all time with the black stripe along the side.
It's pretty basic.
I don't know why. It grinds my gears.
And it certainly doesn't help that all the photos were taken during the COVID year. And it doesn't apply to this one. But any photo on a card with the stands in the background is just empty, and it just looks terrible.
It looks like practice.
So they could have like jazzed up the design a little bit with some colors or anything.
With some team-colored spotlights.
Exactly. If you're not gonna have stands in the back, put something else there, you know?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, not there. But anyway, this showcases the beard. Beautiful man, great center. One of the game's greatest, I would say, especially of the last 30 years.
Absolutely.
And that's that. Maybe we'll move on to the other playoff beard pick now. I didn't have too much of a selection from this one. But we've got a 18-19 Ryan Ellis on the Preds. Could have gone with Ekholm. And I actually did find out a fun fact about Ekholm from a card, but I didn't pick that card. Ekholm scored the first 3-on-3 overtime goal in Preds history. So that's a little bit of a tidbit there for you.
Maybe he will score
in overtime tonight.
Anything. To be fair, Ekholm, not the problem. I'm just going to stop and we can continue.
So yeah, nothing too much to say about this. I'd say even this design is better than the plain black. This one looks classy. You know,
I like that.
There are fans in the background, so that helps.
Yep, totally.
But Ryan Ellis, very dependable defenseman for a long time for the Preds, and that's a solid beard that he grew out there.
Oh man, is it ever? It's a sexy ginger flow from the jaw. It's impressive.
Yeah. Anyway, not too much to say about those. Just beautiful beards.
Yeah.
For my last card, this is a premier card in my collection.
This is one of my favorite jerseys of the Predators of all time.
So this showcases pretty much a beautiful jersey, beautiful card, beautiful goalie. I'm a goalie head, so this is very significant to me. So this is a 99 or 98-99 Topps Gold label, Mike Dunham on the Predators.
So that is crazy.
It is a beautiful, reflective shiny, you know. I'm like a whatever the bird is called that collects shiny stuff.
The crow, the raven.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm a crow. I don't know. But this is a beautiful Mike Dunham card, showcasing both the home and away. I actually appreciate that it has both the home and away jersey.
I think this might have been the flaw with the jersey, is that it's so similar to each other. It's hard to tell home and away.
But it's lovely. It's lovely.
I think it's crazy that there's two shots of him, like almost the same size, right next to each other.
No, I think it's very cool. The cursive of his name is beautiful. Topps gold label. The fact that they had the audacity to call it that is hilarious. And Josh, why don't you go ahead and read the description there?
Okay, guys. Mike was one of several players invited to the Nashville home of country music legend Barbara Mandrell when the Predators debuted in 1998.
And again, that is just a piece of info that is so niche, that is so specific, that you would just never find it on a card of today's era, I don't think.
No, I think, especially with the Predators back then, they really were reaching for information. It might have been due to the fact that the Predators were mostly in obscurity in the mid-range of the NHL standings for years and years, same as I felt like the Wild and the Panthers.
Yeah, true.
Good for the Panthers now.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about them. But I feel like there was a lot of teams that just came under the radar. And then you get some wacky facts, like pierogies, like country music.
So I think we might open this episode with a Barbara Mandrell song. I don't know. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of her.
I almost guarantee there's probably a trap remix out there.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great for the intro. So if you're watching this, tell us what you think of the intro song. But yeah, this is just, you know, it's a beautiful card. It is, according to Topps, Class 1, whatever that means. But Mike Dunham, interesting guy. He had a few really good seasons with the Preds after being with the Devils for a bit.
Yeah.
I like how this card shows his average season, which is an interesting tidbit, especially because he's only played, you know, 41 games in his entire career.
His career best is the season that he played 26 games, which would just be like...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting card nonetheless. I think the older cards just...
Yeah, they just have a certain charm. And I don't think it's just like rose-tinted glasses. Those are my upper Doku picks. I was pretty jazzed when I found the two Topps cards. I think those are some pretty fantastic picks for Topps.
They
and now
are indeed.
We will let Josh take over.
Okay.
Show us the appreciation.
So I'm gonna start with I have to look at this here. We have Preds, Topps, Senate, Topps. Okay, I want to end with the Preds and Topps.
Okay.
So maybe I'll start with the Preds playoff beard.
Okay.
And very similar to you, I did not go Ryan O'Reilly because I thought it was going to be a little more on the obvious side, and I don't have a hockey card of him on the Preds, but I did one where his beard is just flowing to the side.
That's definitely a better picture.
It's blowing in the wind. It's like an ocean wave going across. I don't mind this set. It is very
That's nice. Actually, I don't think I have any.
I have a lot of these MVP. I must have got a pack at some point.
It's got like the Star Trek like door.
Yeah, Star Trek door. We'll continue to use Star Trek door as a great describing.
Sure, yeah.
But nothing too crazy to be said about that. I will say the Predators had a good 5 to 10 years where they just crunched out incredible defensemen, just
it's so true.
Serviceable defensemen, one after the other. You have Ryan Suter, Shea Weber, Ryan Ellis, Matthias Ekholm. They just have a huge. Even Kevin Klein had his moment, guys.
True.
Came and went, but he Roman Yossi. I can't not say Roman Yossi.
Of course.
But yeah, in a nutshell, Ryan Ellis. And then this is the obvious one, and I looked far and away. I looked in many different places. I went through all my binders several times to find a center with a playoff beard. Mm-hmm. And I found some, but none were quite as beautiful as ROR.
Oh, that is a good.
Same set, weird
True.
weird picture of the beard where he's kind of leaning down,
Yeah.
the beard's getting pushed out
Yep.
a little bit. And this also is the set that he won the cup from. That is the 2019.
that is the beard.
That is the beard.
The beard that won the Conn Smythe.
Shout out to my boy Alex Chason. And is that Chason or who is that?
Yeah.
39? That might be.
Yeah, I think so.
I came fully prepared to say Alex Chason, and I hadn't looked at it at all. I just kind of saw the face in passing.
Yeah.
So ROR, we all know who he is. Good job. He is also on the Predators now. So
True, actually. We're getting a lot of Preds.
we're getting a lot of Preds. It's a Preds.
Neither of us are
themed-
Preds fans.
No.
It must be made clear, even though, obviously, the entire podcast is named after a Predator.
Yes. So I have. I'll do this one first, okay? I'll do the Tops center, Brian Scrudland.
That is beautiful.
It's a
That
cool
is
card.
nice.
I wrote a little spiel about it
okay, here we go.
from the Wikipedia and Hockey Archives online. But this, as you can tell, he has obviously
Just been drafted.
Just been drafted in the 93 expansion draft where the Ducks and the Panthers first came in. And now teams could protect one goalie, 5 defensemen, 9 forwards. But rookies and sophomores were completely exempt. So similar rules to Vegas and Seattle recently.
Yeah.
Scruds here was taken 32nd in a draft that featured about 48 players, almost 50, I want to say. I didn't write that down, but it's just somewhere around that. He was taken after Scott Mellenby, who, again, I believe became the Florida Panthers captain. And Stu Grimson was taken before this man, the hockey player with the lowest points per game average in the history of the game.
Is that
the Grim
true?
Reaper. Yes.
Really? Oh, wow.
According to a facts and stats book. It probably had a minimum games played.
yeah.
But yeah.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it's a cool card because the
that's
Panthers had yet to exist. So this was the unveiling of the jerseys.
Right. Beautiful jerseys.
Beautiful
Must
jersey.
be said.
Beautiful stick he's got
Yeah.
on the card too. And if we look at the back again,
Look at look at that logo.
the logo is so much better than the current logo.
Yeah. Florida Panthers Hockey Club.
His highest rating is in the defensive zone with a 7.9.
Interesting. So a Selkie candidate, perhaps.
Selkie candidate, guys. I really like
Barkov probably watches tape of Scrudland.
Paul Maurice is giving him Scrud Steves. I love that they have this little bar down the side. I
Yeah.
don't know if I've seen, I think I have a Terry Yake, who was also in that 93 expansion draft, a Terry Yake on the Hartford Whalers.
Okay.
And he has some like unreal skating. He's like an 8.5 or a 9 skating rating. But yeah, it's not a fancy. It is a Tops.
I love the school day photo background.
Yeah, man.
I'm pretty sure I have a school photo with that exact background.
It's legit. Okay, and now here comes the other one that I would like to deliver a precursor to.
Precursor, okay.
In 1958.
Oh my gosh.
No. OPC got into the hockey card game in 1958, and they entered an agreement with Topps that Topps would produce their cards. Eventually, Topps came out and started producing their own cards, but they were kind of lookalikes or rip-offs of the OPC set of that year.
Right.
OPC and Topps kind of had a back-and-forth relationship where they would either print their own individual cards or Topps would print the cards for OPC for a long time. Hence, you were showing me an OPC printed by Topps.
Right.
So that technically works.
Yep.
However, in my limited Nashville Predators collection of hockey cards, I am faced with two options here, neither of which I really appreciate, but I'm going to make a case for both of them.
All
Okay?
right.
So I will say that Topps has not produced an NHL card in a very long time,
No, they have not.
but they have produced an NHL sticker. And while this is not on the Predators, Liam Foudy, is it Foudy?
Yeah.
He is currently on the Predators this
he?
year. So there you go. There is a Topps
All right, I'll allow it.
Predators. And
They
then
do produce stickers, that's right.
because Topps made kind of, not rip-offs, just kind of copycats of OPC cards, I figured I'd find the most retro OPC card that I could.
Okay.
And this is a very strange piece of cardboard.
Interesting. Okay.
It is a
O-Pee-Chee Premier.
O-Pee-Chee Premier, and I don't know if you've got lots of these. I have
none.
a bunch of weird shaped O-Pee-Chee inserts from this year. I think I have a Blake Wheeler and a Mark Scheifele that are this size as well. And to me, it just kind of looks a little vintage, a little.
No, it's very cool.
Weird.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's my Predators fake tops collection here.
Yeah.
But both of those two, while they don't really constitute
Maybe together.
the criteria,
Because
maybe
they're
together.
both small, they both
Yeah.
fit in the space.
Yeah, they're both small. This isn't even a hockey card. This is legit.
No,
just
the sticker albums. I got a few
sticker.
of those. I never take the sticker off.
No, I've never
You
taken
just
a
keep it as a
sticker off.
card. It's just a little card.
You might as well. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I've never displayed them.
Yeah.
I've never had them in anything. But so,
No, that's great.
in a nutshell,
I love the Scredland.
yeah, the Scruds is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of Florida Panthers, guys,
They are in the finals.
they are in the finals.
Maybe by the time you've watched this, they have lifted the cup for the first time in franchise history.
I am
Or
not willing to
perhaps
submit that early.
Bobby Lou. Bobby
you
Lou,
know
free
what?
the skate.
And as Canucks fans, I can appreciate Roberto Luongo getting a cup,
Yep.
and a lot as a hockey fan in general, it'd be cool to see Barkov get one. There's lots of classy players on Florida, lots
for
of not classy players as well. But yeah, so what we've done is we've compiled, in brief, our dream hockey card lineup for both the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers.
May not be relevant by tomorrow. I keep pushing that on you. I apologize. But it may still be relevant.
It may still be relevant, and I mean, this is regardless, this is going to be the last couple of hockey games of the season. So at the very least, we might as well, fully
go
delve
over it.
into it. So Micah, do you have some Florida Panthers or Edmonton Oilers to show us?
Which should I start with?
Well, we're on the topic of Florida. Why don't you go with your Florida? And I think we've chosen to do like a line plus a goalie, correct?
Yes,
so 3 forwards, 2D, and a
3-2-1 formation. Very common formation in hockey.
very common.
It's not like soccer where you have different formations, I guess. So yeah, the way we're doing this, it's sort of in general, the player in general in your lineup. So just overall, it's not, a specific time period, whatever, just kind of overall. But with that team, of course. And then, the card factor, as I like to call it, must play a role. So if, you got to have a good-looking card, I think gives it just that little extra boost.
It gives it that little extra, yeah.
I don't think in any scenario an all-time Panthers team is taking down an all-time Oilers team, but if the cards are really good for the Panthers, who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to start off with the goalie. And you may see a theme develop, of course. We've got a Luongo here. This is an O-Pee-Chee 2003-04, printed by Topps.
Printed by Topps. I was just about to say produced or printed by Topps.
So this is a beautiful setup he's got. Love this. Bobby Lou, of course, as a Canucks fan, very near and dear to my heart. Love the guy. We've got a quote from Panthers GM Rick Dudley. I can emphatically say that we are very happy with our goaltending. In 12 games, the Panthers allowed 40 or more shots, yet Luongo routinely kept Florida in the hunt.
Luongo in the...
He kept them in the hunt. It doesn't say how many he won. He was 20-34 in the last
I will
the
say,
season.
and I don't know the statistic completely off the top of my head, but Roberto Luongo set the NHL record for the most saves or most shots faced, one of the two, in the, I believe it was the 2002 and the 2003. It was 2 years back-to-back where he faced the most shots that anybody has faced. The Florida Panthers defense, like a sieve. They let everything go through. Blocking shots? I don't think so.
Like he's got
That's not Scrud's job.
A 918 save percentage, but a 271 GAA. Not bad at all, especially with a 20-34 record.
Yeah.
But 6 shutouts as well in the 20 games, which is pretty absurd. In the 20 wins, or I guess possibly ties.
Yeah. I cannot say anything bad about Roberto Luongo.
No, not at all.
Even as someone who has lived in the Canucks market for my whole life, Roberto Luongo got a lot of unnecessary hate.
So true.
And I don't think it was completely deserved in any manner. Yes, his contract did suck.
As he will admit.
As he will openly talk about now. But he gave us a lot of great memories. Strombone 1, guys.
True. Retire the number. Frankly.
Human eclipse, rhinoceros hips. So continue with your team here.
All right, so we're gonna go to the back line now. Another former Canuck. This is a beautiful card, not condition-wise, as you will see. This is a 96, 97.
I'd say Jello.
Jello. Ed Jovanovski. So this is
he won the Norris?
No, this is just a future Norris candidate.
A future Norris.
So this is a after his first season in Florida, where he was 10 goals, 11 assists, 21 points, 137 penalty minutes.
Jovo's got some bite.
Yeah. But it says this is a Jello prospect, future James Norris Memorial Trophy best defenseman. It is.
Did he ever win Norris?
I do not believe so. But maybe on this team, on this all-time lineup, he would have.
Maybe if they had kept this all together.
So if you're just listening, this is a Jello card, if you can't see. This is a Jello card. I can't stress that enough, I guess. It's a Jello card.
Where do you even find a Jello? They must have just had inserts in Jello. We were discussing this because of some of the criteria that we plugged into.
I wonder. I'd have to do some research. I guess maybe I should have done my due diligence before this.
We plugged in or Micah plugged in a food category into the upper Goku. So
you may see this card again. Who knows?
We were discussing that there's multiple food brands that just, for whatever reason, just
have hockey cards associated.
They've got, and there's some weird ones too. I think Jello might be one of the stranger ones that I've
but
seen.
It's also Upper Deck branded, so it's definitely like still a crossover.
Yeah. And rounded edges. Never seen a card.
Die cut.
This is how you know we're not real. We're not real super ultra PSA 10 collectors.
Exactly.
It's about the story behind the card.
Yeah.
Next up, you can quote that.
Next up on defense, this is a defense pair of Ed Jovanovski, Jovocop, with Keith Ballard.
You took my idea.
I know,
there.
you said the name, and I was like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
So this is an 0910 Upper Deck, Keith Ballard, playing against the Penguins. This 0910 set, I think, is my favorite.
It's a good set.
Of the Upper Deck.
It's a great set.
Base sets. The design is prime. It's got all the info I want to know. The name, the team, the number, the position.
It's got a good pop of color.
I love the color.
Yeah.
How they change with the team. That's all we ask for.
Seriously. Yeah.
It's got the alternate kind of logo with the word mark for the Panthers.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
For whatever reason.
I wonder if other teams have the similar thing, like the logo and the word mark, because there are lots of teams from that era that had both the logo and the word mark as a separate entity.
Yeah,
but so that's cool.
That's the Keith Ballard, just for the hip checks.
Oh my goodness! Did he ever throw devastating hip checks?
Yeah.
That was one of the highlights of the 2011 Cup run.
Was him and Hammer.
Just seeing them obliterate people coming down the wall.
You're not allowed to come down the wall. So at center of this Florida Panthers all-time team, I don't think this may be recency bias, but I don't think there's another Panthers center that has Barkov's ability. I think the way he's tearing things up right now, I don't think you get a better Panthers center.
No, he's playing incredible hockey. Yeah. As difficult as that is for me to admit, as much as I am a Oilers fan and even a Canucks fan, I am a hockey fan first and foremost, and it is hard to not appreciate what my boy Sasha is putting down right now. It's incredible. He's playing unreal hockey.
Yeah. It says here that in his 5th NHL game, he had a goal and 2 assists, which is pretty impressive in your 5th NHL game.
That's more than I got in my 5th beer league game this year.
Somehow he stayed underrated for a really long time.
Yeah, I guess you can't say the most underrated player in the NHL.
That was the thing. For the longest time, everyone was like, "Oh, Barkov, most underrated player." But if everyone is saying it, I don't know if you can classify.
If you win a Conn Smythe, does that...
I don't think you can say it anymore. Yeah. Although people probably would still think that Marchessault is underrated, probably.
Marchessault probably still...
Marchizo.
Marchie.
Anyway, now this is going to be a great line. This front line is going to be great. So we got Olli Jokinen, also a center, but we're gonna put him on the left wing for this Panthers lineup.
Produced by Tom.
So I picked this card because it mentions my birthday, February 24th. On February 24th, he scored in a 2-2 tie against Buffalo when he was sick with the flu.
That is a deep cut.
Apparently.
That's his flu game.
That's his MJ flu game.
One goal.
One goal in a 2-2 tie against Buffalo.
Do you know how big that is for the Florida Panthers in like 2000?
True, actually.
2003?
Yeah, he was a -17 that season. So,
and he was probably one of the best players on the team.
On Florida, yeah.
So that's incredible.
Yeah, this is the second in, I guess we got to put him on the left. But the second 2003
Are you sorting him by, he's a lefty, you put him on the left?
Well, I've got a right
Oh, you got a righty.
I've got the perfect right wing coming up,
Yep.
Don't worry. So on right wing, you got to have Pavel Bure in there. We mentioned him already. Talking about the Messier debacle. This is an HD NHL. I think
that is a beautiful card. It's Pacific, isn't it?
This is Pacific, yeah.
Oh.
Pacific Revolution.
I will say, I think Pacific
they've got some good
of
ones.
my favorite cards to ever exist.
Yeah,
Even just the
nice.
base sets from like 1999, 2000, 2001, they're just so beautiful.
Yeah, and like I just imagine Bure being on Barkov's wing, and I think maybe he breaks the goal record. I don't know.
Dude, this setup right here with Olli Jokinen.
That's a bit of a rando. I think they could probably rotate that one. Like
but he's got the finesse. He's got the finesse.
I think he does. Yeah.
You got your two-way playmaker, and you have Pavel Bure as just a trigger man and a shotgun sort of player. So that's. I will tell you already. Haven't looked at my cards a single bit. They do not quite stack up. You'll come to see a pattern here with these lineups that we're doing. I have a feeling I'm going to be more of like wow, that is the greatest third line ever assembled.
Yeah, so that's my all-time Florida lineup. I think Bure,
The back of the card, have you shown the back of the card? That's that saturated red.
Yeah, it's nice.
So nice.
It's nice. He scored 58 goals that year.
Highest on, I think the year that he scored 59 is the highest percentage of a team's goals that any one player has scored. I believe 25 or 26%. The year he scored 59 goals is the highest percentage of a team's goals that one player has scored ever.
Crazy.
Which says something about the Oilers in like 86 or whenever Gretzky had 92. He did not eclipse 26% of the team's total goals, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So Bure, just an absolute island on the early 2000s.
But with Barkov centering him, I think they don't get swept by Colorado, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's a chance. Guys. So that's
my
unreal lineup. Unreal.
That's my lineup. We got. Thank you. Some good cards in there as well.
All right, guys. So we've gone for a slight departure from your.
Let's see it. I'm ready.
I guess I will. I'll leave the goalie for last. I'll do it in opposite. I'll do a reverse order of you. Okay. We'll start up top.
Yep.
We'll go to the defense, because I think that's where the superstar power really comes in. We will start. I'll start at center with the obvious choice.
Yoki.
Olli Jokinen, the Finnish
of
legend.
Course. He's at center, okay.
He's at center.
You put him at center.
I'm going to put him at center.
Which is where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that as a two-way, has some offensive upside. He was a pretty point-per-game player
he was
for
a really
most of
solid
his
guy.
career. So I think at center is probably where he succeeded best, although I can honestly admit I was not watching much Florida Panthers hockey in the years
me neither.
2000 to 2010. That was not my priority.
No.
But Olli Jokinen, solid. He's another guy that I'm like, I really hope his number is honored by the Florida Panthers. If it isn't already in some capacity, maybe not retired.
Maybe a Ring of Honor situation.
Exactly. He was the heart and soul of the Florida Panthers for about 8 years.
When he was there, anyway.
He was there, yeah. So,
he was captain, actually, for a little bit.
I believe there's a C or an A on the side there. It might be an A. But man, rocking that.
Either way,
And you can see the alternate logo for the reverse retro on the shoulder there.
Yes.
The triangular shoulder yoke is pretty badass.
It's beautiful.
It's a great
That's
color
a really
scheme.
nice jersey. I love the navy.
And I think if we're talking sty points here, bro,
That's
the
a good
Nike
one.
Bauer helmet and gloves, then anything with the swoosh,
Yeah.
unreal. I love that.
So true.
It's so sexy.
Who are his wingers?
We've got some interesting choices here, guys, but I will say it's a fully natural forward lineup. There is a center, a lefty, and a righty.
You're not making Jokin play out of position.
I don't know my lefts and my rights. I have to check. This is a Vancouver Canucks legend. This man matched Mason Raymond and Dylan Larkin in speed. It is David Booth.
When he was fully healthy.
When he was fully healthy, which
this guy was a game breaker.
Only happened like once or twice in his career where he was fully healthy. He was out there breaking backs and then...
breaking backs, scoring racks.
Yeah, breaking his own body in the process.
Yep.
Not too much to say about David Booth. One of the many Florida Panthers, Vancouver Canucks crossovers.
Yep.
For whatever reason, the management just decided,
let's just have a partnership here.
Yep, and we will just swap players like 3 times a season every year for 5 years. This next one, on the Vancouver train of thought, not our best friend in 2011. In fact, this man was a menace to the Vancouver Canucks, and I think he should have probably got more recognition in the way that he shut down the first and second lines. I chose Nathan Horton.
Yeah, I saw that.
Who also has the strange statistic of scoring a goal in a game that he did not play in.
That's right.
Right, in the Columbus game. It was postponed, but they kept the goal. So the game started, he scored a goal. The game was postponed. When they replayed it, he did not score a goal, but the goal was still added to that.
To the score sheet.
I don't even know if he played again after that. That might have been his
last game.
There's a
could be.
I don't know the whole story, but
definitely
it's
interesting
crazy.
Tidbit.
It also holds a special place in my heart because this is one of the very first hockey packs I ever got.
There you go.
Was this? A little late to the game. This is like 06.
Mine was the same year too, actually. Yeah, the same MVP set. That was one of my first packs as well.
One of my first sets. I have quite a few. There's some great, I think a Matthew Guerin in the King's Purple alternate with the gross gray neck area. But Nathan Horton, man, a fairly good player throughout his career. He was solid. And he also, I considered him for playoff beard. He just wasn't at center. In the 2011, he was still playing wing.
Right.
But he had a wicked beard with the no visor as well. Last tidbit, Easton Synergy. That neon green stick is unreal.
That's beautiful.
And I have always wanted to play with an Easton Synergy. If someone wants to ship an Eastern Synergy to Western Canada so I can play in a beer league game with it.
With a green Easton Synergy.
Let me know. Michael will come out, film the game, and watch me accumulate.
That'll be a special episode.
0 assists,
Easton
0
Synergy
goals.
Cards only.
Oh, bro, we should do an Easton Synergy special.
Episode?
Can you add that to the puck doku?
Yeah, we will add it.
The upper doku. Okay, so defenseman. And this guy is the Florida Panthers defenseman, in my opinion. He was an Iron Man for a long time. It is Jabo. Absolute legend on the blue line.
He was real solid there. Solid there and with the Flames too.
And with the Flames, yeah. And he had a bit of a tragic end with the cardiac event that ended his career.
Yeah.
But a very solid player for his the entirety of the time that he played.
His name and Norris were definitely combined in the same sentence.
Yep, just
a few times.
Chris Tanev-esque shutdown. Yeah. You know. The defenseman that I was really excited as far as a card goes. This is I don't know. You see all these cards are just like base set. I don't know what this is.
This is good.
This next one is an NHLPA special, guys. Oh. It's Be a Player trading cards. Oh, and it is a rookie Dan Boyle.
Ooh, that is lovely.
It's a beautiful little card.
Wow,
and
it uses Franklin gloves.
The Franklin gloves, guys. Dan Boyle, also another guy that was not super talked about these days, but was a great player. Was he on? I think he was on the 2010 Olympic roster for Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a national.
No, that's 2014. Hero. I was checking too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hamhuis was on that team.
He was as a reserve, right? He played one game.
He played a few minutes.
Right there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But Dan Boyle, another great
That's
player.
A really solid player.
And it is a rookie as well. 22 games right there.
Yeah.
Now, I did this specifically with the knowledge that there was no way you were not going to pick Luongo.
Yeah.
Sure. I would like that, for the record, in a dream situation, there is definitely a world where I select Roberto Luongo.
But you wanted somebody different. I understand.
I wanted something a little different, and
You didn't have to go this different.
this isn't that different. It was a brief cup of coffee. This man is known for the helmet that he wears, and he had pretty much the same helmet for every team he played with. It just had a different color background, and that is
Eddie the
Eagle, man. Ed Belfour. This is again one of my other first sets of hockey cards. I had a couple random Panthers that were from those first couple sets, and Ed Belfour, man. He was an incredible goalie for a very long time.
Oh,
he had
definitely.
Some success. He was a rookie with Chicago, I want to say. I've got a couple of rookie cards of him on Chicago.
Yeah. He won the Vezina as a rookie.
Yeah. Did he play for Dallas?
Yep.
Toronto, Florida. He kind of went everywhere.
Yeah.
But just a solid goalie. And I like this card too. I like the victory card. It looks very much TSN 2008 background.
So true. We're about to watch Versus on TSN.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Dutchie.
Yeah, Dutchie, man. Absolute legend. So yeah, his statistics
The
are
incomparable Belfour.
incomparable. 76 shutouts in a career is pretty big.
That is impressive.
Somehow his best season, according to the back of this, was with the Maple Leafs, which I didn't think was possible for any goaltender. But
yeah, I mean, just based on the seasons we have.
Just on the seasons that we have here. And I bet you
That's
he was
really
a little better with
impressive,
Chicago or Dallas, but the year that Dallas made the cup run.
Although this is dead puck era, so 2.26, probably not even the best.
I'm just going off of 922 save percentage.
Yeah,
that's not
very
bad.
impressive.
So yeah, Ed Belfour, guys. This is my Florida Panthers.
I was
lineup.
expecting John Van Beesbrook to make an appearance here, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. But he will be saved for a deeper cut day.
Sure, yeah.
Ed Belfour was my strange selection.
No,
and
that's a good,
I will give,
it's still a solid pick.
I'll give a runner-up to neither Luongo or Beezer. If I was going to have
Vokoun.
picked a second one, it would have been Vokoun.
Of course.
Vokoun. I've got some sweet Nashville.
Because he was the Panthers goalie in the era that we formed our brains.
Yeah.
He's the Panthers goalie.
He's the Panthers goalie. Yeah, totally. I don't think of him on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Even though he had some good playoff runs, actually.
Yeah.
Or one, maybe.
One good playoff run. But that's our Florida show. Do you want to
Edmonton.
open it up with some Edmonton picks?
Let's get some Edmonton picks.
Now, what was the way you constructed this? Did you do the same sort of thing? Did you do
3 forwards, 2D, 1 goalie.
as far as the players themselves? Did you choose the top performing guys of all time, or did you just choose an all-time top card?
What is the difference? The card bonus is a bonus. There's less of a card bonus with my Edmonton picks, I think.
Okay.
I think Florida, because they had their heyday, in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's easier to get some cool cards from there.
I'm just wondering if you went, Gretzky, Curry, the top.
I did. Okay. Well, yeah. I guess you'll see.
Okay. You know what? Go for it. You get this started.
In net, I think I thought about going Cujo because I like Cujo.
Yep.
Curtis Joseph. But I went Grant Fuhr. This is a really nice 91, I think, Bowman. Grant Fuhr. Great setup, to be honest. The pillows. I love the pillows.
The Coho. Is that... I don't even know what he's wearing for the blockers. It looks great. Deflex. DR, man.
DR Deflex.
DR Deflex.
But yeah, of course, he's probably the best goalie in Oilers history. First black man to win a cup. Very cool
Really?
story. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Very cool story, of course. I saw an ESPN feature on
He
him the other day.
lived down the street in Edmonton from my grandparents.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
He's
fun.
a nice guy. He used to see him in the neighborhood.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you know what I gotta get, actually? Hold on.
Oh, he's running. Okay.
I got it. I don't know how I forgot about this. Switching out the Grant Fuhr card. This is a signed, in-person, 1991 Upper Deck. And of course, it was signed at a Abbotsford Heat game where you know how they did the Legends nights or whatever?
Why was Grant Fuhr into that?
I don't know. They're the Flames affiliate. He did play for the Flames, of course.
Okay. Bit of a stretch, but I appreciate it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
he
I didn't
was-
know he was
He
around
was
at all.
at a Abbotsford Heat game where they had a Legends night and all that. And he signed a few cards for me. I had a really nice Blues card that I traded to my cousin. I think, hopefully he still has it. But it was him on the Blues that he signed. And then I think I gave one to Aiden. A Pro Set signed. But this is,
Never give anything to
the
Aiden.
autograph has faded now, but it is there. Grant Fuhr, lovely card, lovely setup. Same setup. Upper Deck, of course, just made better cards than Bowman back then.
It is true.
Anyway,
It is true.
can't go wrong with Grant Fuhr.
All right.
In net. On defense, I had a really hard time picking Oilers defensemen because I guess they've never really had. Have they ever had a Norris winner? Did Kevin Lowe ever win the Norris? Because that's what I've got. Anyway.
I would say the only one that came close would be Paul Coffey, if you had a Paul Coffey.
How did I not have a Paul Coffey?
It's okay.
Maybe I should have
You know
looked
what?
a little harder for
Kevin
Paul Coffey. I
Kevin
forgot
Lowe
about
is
Paul
in
Coffey.
the Hall of Fame.
It's so true.
So, you know what? Kevin Lowe.
He's in the Hall of Fame before McGillney, before Roenick, before Brindamore.
I don't know what to say.
Anyway, I think he's a solid pick. I think if the Oilers had a guy like Kevin Lowe right now, they wouldn't be on the verge of getting swept. Anyway, that's what I've got for the Oilers on
Kevin
defense.
Lowe. I love it.
And it's very obvious that I did not find a Paul Coffey in my binder because of who I have next. It is Sheldon Surrey.
I have
I think you
no
can.
hate for this pick absolutely at all. Sheldon Surrey had like 3 great years
He did.
for the Oilers, sat out an entire season and then left. Very, very Chris Pronger. He was the Chris Pronger replacement.
Sure.
He was supposed to be the, Chris Pronger leaves. Well, that sucks. Okay, but
least
guess
we
what?
got Sheldon.
We got Sheldon Surrey. He scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, he
had
was
a bomb.
surprisingly potent from the point. He had 23 goals in 2008-09.
He had like a 50-point season.
And fun little tidbit, Surrey scored 2 goals, added an assist, and was second star at the 2009 All-Star game.
So he was an all-star.
So he was an All-Star. So better
That's
than
really
Coffey?
good.
I don't know.
But they're right there. When I think Paul Coffey, I think, Sheldon Surrey.
Sheldon Surrey. I must have a Coffey on the Oilers. Maybe I don't. Who knows? I must.
You must somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking with my freaking picks,
Okay.
all right? Sheldon Surrey and Kevin Lowe.
I love it.
Center for the Oilers. Controversial pick? I don't know. Wayne Gretzky.
Wow.
I picked this card specifically just to show how much he carried them in the 80s. Goals, assists, power play goals, shorthanded goals. Not the leader in game-winning goals in 80-81.
Do you know what's
He really fell off.
you know what's absurd about that?
Couldn't come up clutch.
Is that his rookie year? Or is that his sophomore?
No, this
With
is sophomore.
the Oilers.
Yeah.
Because he tied Marcel Dion.
In his rookie year,
actually
yeah.
the most underrated player in NHL history, if
Could
we
be
think
Dion,
about it.
Yeah.
But he tied him at the first year, but
Yeah.
Dion won because he had more goals,
Yeah.
right? And then Gretzky comes back. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm 19 years old. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna take the league by storm."
Yeah.
164 points is absurd.
Yeah, true. But yeah, couldn't come up clutch, I guess. Not the leader in game-winning goals.
Glenn Anderson.
The leader?
Glenn Anderson. Oh yeah, I don't know if he was
thought
on the Oilers at that time.
He
but-
was, yeah.
Oh, it actually is Glenn Anderson.
Yeah, it is.
I said that without
Really?
looking. Yeah, I know because he is the all-time leader in game-winning goals
Yeah.
for the Oilers for sure, but maybe for the league in total. Game-winning goals, Glenn Anderson, absolutely clutch. I
True,
seriously
true.
did not. The glare
That's
of the light
hilarious.
coming off the camera, I can't see anything.
That's great.
On that card, but Glenn Anderson, man, he's the
Yeah.
man.
And yeah, very clearly was. And just flip it over to the back real quick. You look at who's next on the Oilers in points, and it's a little ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Curry's got 75.
90 points less.
It's just insane a little bit.
Holy smokes. Stan Weir.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's a deep cut. Great set of hair on Stan Weir, I will say.
So that's my center pick. I know it's a little controversial, but anyway, on left wing, I'm putting him on the wing. We got McDavid.
Wow.
I think he's at the point now where if you put him, where I think you could put him in the all-time starting lineup. I think he's just that good.
I think so,
I
yeah.
don't think you put him center because he's shown that he can score 60 goals. So why not let him do it, you know?
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Yeah, not much else to say. This is a sophomore card as well for McDavid. And then on the right wing, we got Yari Curry. I think
Who else?
if you put Yari Curry on the right wing with McDavid and Gretzky, I think there's another guy who could maybe score 900 goals. Not sure. 2,000 assists maybe each for McDavid and Gretzky.
Imagine that as a 1-2 punch. Imagine you have Gretzky and McDavid down the center, line 1 and 2.
I know.
They each play 22 minutes a night.
Yeah. But yeah, we're kind of using this as like a dream power play unit, I guess, sort of.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Forwards are kind of playing out of position, but you still have 2 defensemen.
Yes.
Can't let any shorthanded goals go in, you know. And I think if you have Lowe and Surrey as a pair, I think that's a pretty solid pair.
Yeah, absolute shutdown. Surrey with the bomb.
Yeah.
That's
he
fantastic.
does clappers like Yzerman just from right inside the blue line, you know.
Yep, totally. That's great.
That's my all-time Oilers lineup. Yeah, I definitely do have a coffee in this set, in this 80-81 O-Pee-Chee set.
But you know what?
But I could not find it, I guess, and forgot that Paul Coffey existed. Actually, that's a little embarrassing. But I think I'm sticking with Lowe and Surrey. I think maybe I swap out Lowe for Coffey if I find the coffee. I keep Surrey.
I'd keep Surrey. I would 100% keep Surrey.
That is the Oilers all-time
Okay.
lineup.
Where is mine? Because I do have... I think what the common theme here is Micah has an incredible starting lineup, and then I come in with the all-time...
I just had Sheldon Surrey in my top pair, dude.
I come up with the all-time second line.
Yeah, okay, sure.
This is
cumulatively, we'll see if they beat the Panthers all time.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So where is I kind of have them scattered around here because I've got a couple like in mid-game choices that I'm going to be making on the fly here.
Oh, okay. How you feel in the moment.
Just how I feel in the moment, and I'll start up front with the most obvious choice that Micah will probably ever think of that I'm going to pick in my life.
But nobody else would.
In 2006, I was still young.
6 years old.
And one of my first memories is watching at my old house. You were never in. My old house, the 2006 Stanley Cup Final, the Carolina Hurricanes versus the Edmonton Oilers. And that's kind of it's definitely my first hockey memory, but it's legitimately one of my first memories that I'm there, I can see it. It's not just pictures and moments. I remember parts of that whole evening or the nights that I watched it with my dad. And my dad, growing up in Edmonton, huge Oilers fan. That's why I'm biased, and I say this a lot too. I kind of have 2 favorite teams. I am, as a franchise, the Oilers all time. As a team, the Canucks are kind of my team because it's easier to keep a closer eye on it here.
True.
And I appreciate all those guys. Complete digression. My favorite player of all time, and I have so many different cards, and I'm saving my best cards of this guy, my fancy ones, for a later date because I know what's going to come up. Ryan Smith is my favorite hockey player of all time.
Could it be anyone else? No.
It could not. And
Kings legend. Avalanche legend.
He wore an A with every team and never wore a C.
Interesting. That's actually interesting.
Yeah, Islanders, Colorado, and the Kings, he all wore an A with. And the Oilers as well. And there is a beautiful video online if you've ever seen it. It's his last game of all time, and they give him the C with the Oilers in his last game.
Do they really?
They abdicate the C, and he wears the C in the last game.
There you go.
He's such a classy dude. He is the nicest man. Yeah. Good family, too. He's rocking Hespeler gloves. I have no idea what this image is of him, like mid-power play,
he's
trying
about
to
do a
scoop
hand
the puck
pass,
away.
or mid-PK, maybe.
He probably has some of the worst skates of all time. He wore those things until like 2013. They're just, they're pretty whack. But Ryan Smith,
that's great.
all time, my favorite player. Wow. I would be extremely remiss if I did not put him on my all-time, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, he's definitely he's definitely trying to clear the puck there.
Yeah. And this was my very first Ryan Smith hockey card as well. the Power Play series. I have very few cards from this series, but they all look sick. They're really cool.
I've got Power Play,
I think I have a Yager on the Rangers in the series, and it looks really cool too. Again, this is a full natural line. I have a lefty, righty, and a center. At center, I got to see this guy play in person for the first time this year when he was unfortunately sent down to the minors, but I still saw him play in an AHL game. Gags. Sam Gagne.
There you go.
I have spent so much of my life trying to replicate his shootout move. The toe drag, pop release, talk. It's
great number.
Great number, 89, 99. And yeah, Gagne had a great start to his career. He started young. The Oilers were so desperate for scoring that they put him on the first line at 18 years old. Imagine him getting just tossed right into the fire. And I think he did have a first couple of years. He did 2 50-point seasons in a row and kind of just hung at 40 points for the rest of his career. And who knows? I haven't checked the lineup card tonight. Imagine Sam Gagne plays game 4 for the
slots
Oilers.
in.
That would be so cool. That would make my day. We have here at right, Ales Hemsky.
Wow.
One of the most skilled players to play. So I have a weird combination. Let's be real.
A combination of skill and grit here.
If we've grinders, if we've got this lineup against Gretzky and Curry and Connor McDavid, I don't know.
Do they just wear them down?
It's the speed, man. But this is the kind of the era of Oilers that I grew up watching. So I really have an appreciation for all these guys. And Ales Hemsky, another very underrated player, and he was the leading scorer for the Oilers for so many consecutive seasons. Very, very skilled. Super smooth with the puck. This McDonald's set of cards is absolutely iconic.
It's a good set. One of my first ones too.
And speaking of McDonald's cards, this is what I was going to put down as my first defenseman, but I can no longer put this down in good conscience because that was what I was going to do. So just knowing that Sheldon Surrey is actually one of my favorite Oilers defensemen, I leave that aside.
You've made your point.
I will digress, and I will put...
You can put Paul Coffey.
I will put Jeff Petrie. Jeff Petrie was so solid for like half a season in there. Went to Montreal, proved everybody that he could play defense.
Even with bloodshot eyes.
Even with bloodshot, He's got a pretty nasty like ginger beard these days. It's quite a look. Jeff Petrie, I could have gone with Whit Dog. Ryan Whitney, big up my boys at Spittin' Chicklets. He could have broken the lineup, but I think he'd be the first to admit that Jeff Petrie might have been a more solid shutdown defenseman than he ever was. Too busy shooting, passes straight down the middle. Oscar Klefbom was just too soon, and his career got cut so short because of injuries. He could have been the number 1 defenseman that the Oilers were looking for years. If Klefbom stays on the number 1 unit, what happens with the rest of the D-core? Is Darnell Nurse still being paid $9 million a season? Is Evan Bouchard on the number 1 power play and develop into what he is now? We'll never know. Klefbom was a great player, and I really enjoyed watching him for that brief period of time. And then in net, this is my game time decision. And I like the card that I have over there better, but I think I would be remiss not to continue with the Decade of Darkness theme I have going on here.
No kidding.
And
you're giving Oilers fans
and go with Dwayne Roloson, the man who, when injured, may have cost the Oilers the cup. Not in a bad way. He was so good, and when he finally got injured and was taken out of the 2006 final, I think it was kind of unfair to put Ty Conklin in net versus the Carolina Hurricanes.
True enough.
This is another one of my favorite sets from Upper Deck because of how simple it is.
It's simple.
The bronze text works really well with the Oilers jerseys.
True, doesn't work with a lot of teams, but it works with the Oilers.
It works with the Oilers of this time period.
The interesting faded bronze on the back is kind of fun.
Seriously. But Dwayne Roloson, one of the few, I would say, solid goaltenders that carried the Oilers through that weird era with like Nikolai Habibulin and Ben Scrivens. So, that's my dream. And again, I'll say it, my second line
Right,
dream lineup. So these are the guys that I love. There's obviously more that I could put in there. There's a ton of guys from the 90s that probably would create a better...
We just had 2 all-time Oilers lineups, and neither one of us had Paul Coffey in it. Which feels a little crazy to say.
Could have thrown Laddie Schmid in there, man.
I was picking between Sheldon Surrey and Lubomir Wisnowski.
Wisnowski would have been great. I will say, I'll throw this out here right now while we have a break. A Laddie Schmid Young Guns.
Young Gun. That's a hot commodity.
It's a sweet card.
That is nice.
It's just weird. And Laddie Schmid kind of got run out of town and then went to the Oilers, or went to the Flames, and then got run out of there. But another great player.
Yeah.
For the Oilers. So now that we've got all that out of the way, we talked about McDonald's cards in brief.
We did.
Do we want to mention?
Do we bring up
the Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons of it all.
The Tim Poor card 10s. Well, we can do this quickly.
Go for it. Go ahead.
I love the Tim Hortons cards that have come out throughout the last couple of years. They're nice and shiny. They're very reminiscent of the McDonald's. I would say that the McDonald's cards were kind of the heyday of the fast food cards for a little while. And then this year, Tim Hortons comes out with the greatest duos.
Yep.
Before I say anything, what are your thoughts on the greatest duos
I think
series?
it's an interesting concept. I think it's an interesting concept. I'll say that. And I think some of them are nice. The rookie connections.
The rookie connections. And
bounded by honor.
The inserts are really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, the inserts are great. I'll throw a couple out here because I do think that the inserts...
Holy.
You want to throw those out? The inserts are pretty gorgeous.
That is nice.
Here, that one's pretty good too.
Oh, yeah.
And I have been... I've been mildly let down. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I've appreciated this set of cards. I just think it's a little blasphemous. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the fact that the standard hockey cards have 2 players, one on each side? I just don't quite. And I'll just throw down this Ovi here as an example. First of all, the front of the card.
It's really boring.
It looks like it's missing something in this section.
That's terrible.
I don't know what's going on there. It's empty.
Yeah.
And then when you turn it around, nice picture of Kuzi, but then you have all this at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, where do I display this?
Yeah. Like, you know what I've been doing is I've just been treating it like I would just treat it as an Ovi card.
I have been too.
I just put it with my Ovis.
It's just made me a little choked.
Yeah.
Because of some of the ones that are on the back side. And I feel like they usually put the bigger star on the front.
Yeah.
But I'll show you 2 of my favorites that I've got of this set. And I'll talk about them in brief quickly. Okay? Sidney Crosby.
It's a lovely guy.
And Nathan McKinnon.
Ah.
The Halifax connection. That's a cool card in general. And this one is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Trevor Linden with the West Coast Express jersey.
Beautiful jersey.
And Marcus Naslund with the skate.
Wow, yeah,
that
is good. That is good.
The only issue I have with these, we've talked about it. I have multiple issues with these. First of all,
the design is boring.
The design is boring, and I can't display either of these guys.
Yeah.
Like, where do you put this? I guess you must have to have
a lazy Susan, just rotating.
Yeah, I guess the idea might be that you just have sleeves of cards and you just put them in single-sided.
Yeah.
But you as far as the way that I organize cards, which is by team, it kind of makes it a bit of a pain in the butt when I have a Crosby and a McKinnon.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I've got one, not Tim Hortons, but from back in the day. I've got a Lidstrom on the front, and it's got Roman Hammerlich on the back.
Wasn't Roman Hammerlich like first overall?
Yeah.
For the Lightning?
Yeah.
Wow. That's an interesting predicament the Lightning found themselves in.
But I don't even organize that one. That one's in my special cards box.
Fair enough, man. It's a little awkward. And the only reason I wanted to bring this up is because I think the base Tim Hortons cards are so good. Like the single, I don't think I have anything on hand right now. But the regular Tim Hortons cards are phenomenal. They look So good. I think I've got a...
They're nice and shiny. Exactly what you want from a
yeah.
Tim's card. I don't think I have any in here, but...
I was going to say, I thought I had a Brock Besser, but I don't think I do off the cuff here. But the standard Tim Hortons ones look fantastic.
Yeah. Speaking of, there's the man himself. That's an interesting card, actually. Why don't we...
Wow.
Let's go over that real quick.
Okay. That's a perfect little insert right there.
And here we go. Here's a pot coffee for you.
Okay, well, too little, too late there.
Just a little bit. Oh, here's a Tim Hortons Canada Captains Sidney Crosby.
I like that.
We've got a red parallel Roman Yossi here. Also Tim Hortons.
See, the Tim Hortons cards
They're nice.
Are really, really nice.
Like, they've got that nostalgic shine.
Yep.
That the same way the McDonald's ones
The same way that McDonald's, and we're of the era that the McDonald's cards, again, were kind of the
prime.
The prime. And convincing my mom to get a Happy Meal at like 10 years old was kind of, that was a tough go.
Yeah.
But these are great. That is
these are classic, ultimate, made some really interesting cards. We've got newspaper on the back, Toronto Tribute, Miles Gilbert Horton.
Miles Gilbert Horton.
Yeah, imagine if that was the restaurant name.
Miles
you want to go to Miles Gilbert Horton today, get some donuts? Tim Horton, respected by both the hockey and the business world, has been sorely missed since the 1974 auto accident that claimed his life. This is one of the only cards you'll have talking about a car accident.
Wow, that's pretty depressing.
This renowned professional played in 1391 regular season games during his 24-year career and is remembered as a rock-solid Maple Leaf defenseman.
I do have a Tim
Barring
Hortons.
the fact that he's in the Sabres.
Is that a rookie card?
No, I think it's later. I think he must have been there later. Because that would have been expansion.
Right.
Following his National Hockey League career, he opened a chain of donut shops, which continue to flourish today.
That sounds exactly how you would sum it up if you were American.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wild. But like you said, Classic made some pretty.
They got some weird ones, yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but speaking of Classic, I've got a Classic card for my random card of the day.
Okay.
I don't know if we wanted to shift to that and kind of cap off the day with the random card. But I have a wacky random one for you. And
let's see it.
It's I was going through. I have a binder full of it's kind of junior cards and other guys that are international cards perhaps. And the one that caught my eye, I have a set of a couple of these. It's from the classic brand 93 draft. And if you know the 93 draft, it had some crazy players.
Yep.
Alexander Dagg, kind of the unfortunate headliner. Of this 150 card set, he had 8 cards made of himself or in this year, which is a lot. Mano Rome.
Right.
However you pronounce it. I'm not French. I did take French till grade 11, but I can only say, est-ce que je peux aller aux toilettes, s'il vous plaît? She had 4 cards in this too, which was really cool as well. There's some random shots of it's just her without gear, just smiling.
Classic.
But it has a ton of heavy hitters too. You got Pronger mixed in there. Todd Bertuzzi's in there. I think Pavel Bure is also mixed in as well. Chris Gratton was number 2. Teemu Solani is in there. There's a ton of random ones. But there are a couple that really take the cake in terms of design.
Okay.
And I don't know if I've seen one quite in this art style before. But I'll just put it down. And I'll let
in the world?
This is current host of Overdrive with Brian Hayes and Noodles, Jamie McLennan, Jeff O'Neill, ladies and gentlemen.
What in the world is that?
Jeff O'Neill, I want to say was maybe best known for his time with the Hurricanes, but also did play for Toronto. He was unfortunately traded in the 2005 draft, a year before the Hurricanes would go on to win the Stanley Cup from the Edmonton Oilers. So he completely missed out on that. The pick became a 4th pick, who became Rito Berra, so he was traded for Rito Berra. For better or for worse.
Wow, that is a great pick for the first random card of the day.
With the Guelph Storm. Okay, and this art style is nuts.
Wow,
The purple pink clouds in the background with the lightning.
And like he looks like the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters a little bit.
I will also say, if you have a chance, and maybe we'll come up with this card at one point, the Paul Correa one is nuts. It's him in like a Team Canada jersey with flames everywhere. He's like speeding in his skates are flames.
I have none from this set. That is fascinating.
It is. It's a cool card, and it's a cool set. The 93 Classic, and as we talked about, Classic makes some really weird cards, some really cool cards. I think I just got a Classic Frank Udavari referee card. That's a pretty cool one.
That's amazing.
But the 93 hockey
the back is so sparse.
Yeah,
there's
so much empty space. You know, they put down a ton of text, and there's just no stats whatsoever. They could have made the font
size a little bit bigger, you'd think. But
yeah, they compared him in this to Brian Trottier and Bobby Clark. Which he kind of turned into a bit of a power forward, I would say.
Yeah.
I think his best season was around 60, high 60s in points with the Hurricanes, maybe with the Leafs. But a solid player, and I like it when the prospect cards actually turn into recognizable players. He didn't have a super long career, but
it's recognizable.
That's my random card of the day is the Guelph Storm 93 Classic Jeff O'Neill.
That is fantastic.
That's fantastic. So that's mine. Do you have a random card?
I have not picked one out. Let me raw dog this.
Okay, I like this. There's always some random ones that are in the mix. I just grabbed a bunch of random ones that I wanted to keep in the binder. So every time that we do this, I'll just select one from there.
Oh, that's good.
It is not the only 93 Classic hockey draft card in there. I have a couple, I wouldn't say deep cuts because I feel like especially the player I'm thinking of in particular has got a lot of publicity over the last maybe 6 months, but I haven't heard anything about him before that point. He's one of my all-time favorite players for the Washington Capitals amongst the Bruins and a couple other teams he played for.
I'll go, maybe I won't go with the theme. I don't know.
There is no theme. There is no theme. You just you do what your heart desires here. Yeah. So as far as the podcast goes, while Micah sorts this out here, this is kind of the format that we're thinking of doing. It might be a little shorter, it might be a little longer. I guess we'll cut this all up. We'll edit it. We'll see how the audio sounds. We'll see how the format looks. But we'll go from here, and we're planning on doing a couple of these at the very least, right? Just you know, it's fun for us.
We'll do a doku.
We'll do a doku.
A random card of the day to end it off.
Yep, totally. So it's been it's been a good experience.
I will go similar theme to you. This is also classic, a classic brand. 1994, 1995. Saku Koivu. Playing for Finland.
Unreal, guys.
Montreal. Just so you know who has the rights to him. According to the back, only a military obligation this year in Finland will keep Saku Koivu from bringing his talent to Montreal.
Those Europeans and their military service obligations, man,
you know,
it's always...
Again, this is one of those cards where it's like, is there another hockey card in the world that mentions the military?
Very few.
Just in general. Like, it's an odd... just little artifact.
I wonder if there's, because hockey cards weren't widely produced until the 50s or 60s, right, in any capacity. So they would have missed World War II, maybe the Vietnam War for some of them. But that's those European players, man.
Yeah, and
Nico Hischier went back to Switzerland during the lockout or the COVID year to do his.
I don't know, Olli Mauda had a stint as well. But yeah, it's just interesting that the card itself will mention that, because I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would mention such.
You know what?
In today's day and age.
You know what my favorite part of this card is, and I you know what? I'll say there's a couple favorite parts of this. I happen to say my favorite part a lot, and there are lots of favorite elements.
Okay.
I love, and I hope that one day I acquire something with such. The Reebok shoulders on this jersey are incredible.
Yeah,
the Reebok design all throughout the shoulders.
That's amazing.
I have one card that I will save for later because it's probably my favorite hockey card of all time. I'm looking at it now. But it's the same design. It's a World Champs card with the Reebok shoulders. And they are so sexy.
Yep.
I love that just weird bit of retro flair. I would wear a jacket or a jersey like that. I would switch all my beer league hockey team designs to Reebok if they had shoulder designs like that. It's so cool. It's a real bit of 90s flair. Just a weird set of stripes. It's not Nike. It's not Adidas.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not even like CCM or any other hockey jersey brand. You would expect maybe a pro player or something, but no, Reebok, dude.
Well, there you go. To end off the first episode of Arkhipov Pierogi Chow.
APC, as the kids say.
As the children say.
Ah, sweet. Well, thank you very much for having me back in the studio here. It's been great.
Thanks for watching and listening.
We'll be back with another one after the Oilers win the cup.
After they come back from 3-0 down.
I'm sensing a Boston-Toronto series right here. Actually, you know what? Even if they come back, Florida's got a good team.
They're very good.
And
That's the issue.
I honestly didn't know they were this good until I started watching this series. I didn't pay a ton of attention to the other series. I expected them to kind of run through guys, but so fingers crossed that I haven't worn this jersey yet this series. I wore this jersey to Game 2 of the Vancouver-Edmonton, and the Oilers ended up winning. I will say that I pretty much I did the biggest boo-boo in all of hockey culture, and I had 2 jerseys at the game.
Crazy.
I had an Andrei Kuzmenko and a Connor McDavid.
That's so nuts.
Not necessarily to switch back and forth. I was kind of cheering for the Canucks, but I wore the Oilers one there because it was a cooler. It doesn't matter. My point is, go Oilers. That's about all I got.
Go Luongo.
I can't even be upset about that. Okay. We'll see you guys next time.